what's up? It's April. If you're new here, hi. I am currently a third semester nursing student in a BSN program. An ADN program. I am also dual enrolled in a bachelor's program, and I want to talk to you guys about something a little different than I normally talk about, and that's how I got into nursing / nursing school. So if you don't know, I am currently 26 years old and I'm married. I live in Wichita, Kansas, with my wife who is in the Air Force and our 3 dogs. So I'm going to take you back about 10 years and start with high school. So I graduated from high school in 2013, and I graduated from an early college program. Now what that was I graduated with my associate's degree in liberal arts or general studies in 2013 for free. I didn't have to pay for any of that. So I had all of my general education classes done. So from there, I applied to a university in North Carolina, got in, and started there in the fall of 2013. I ended up hating it. It was like 4 hours from home. I got very homesick very quickly, and both of my grandparents were sick with cancer, and I wanted to be home. Whenever I went to college, I was actually a pre-med student. I wanted to be a doctor. I'm really glad that didn't work out, but even if I would have stayed there, I would not have continued to be pre-med because I could not stand physics, and you have to have that in order to be a doctor. So the next spring semester comes and I apply at a local university, but this time I applied for nursing. Unfortunately, I was in a really toxic relationship, and when I get to my now second university, I decided I wasn't going to do pre-med anymore. Instead, I'm going to try nursing. I really hadn't had a big interest in nursing up until this point, and it was literally just like, well, if I can't be a doctor, a nurse is the next best thing, right? And I had every intention of being a CRNA, which now that is nothing at all that I was interested in. I was definitely more just interested in the money than like the nursing aspect of it. I really just wanted to make as much money as possible. And now, 10 years later almost, I realized that money is not everything. And I would not have been happy as a CRNA. And even now, with it being something I could do, no. So I took 3 classes. It was statistics, nutrition, and a dance class. And I was in a really toxic relationship that he really didn't want me to do anything outside of our relationship. So I ended up failing all of my classes. So I dropped out of school and started working as a restaurant manager. And I did that for about 5 years. I eventually got out of my toxic relationship and decided I'm not happy working at Taco Bell. I'm not. I want to go back to school and do something in the medical field. So I was really interested in surgery because Grey's Anatomy. So I was like, I'm going to be a surgical technologist. It was okay money. It was only a year of school, and there was a program at my local community college, and still nursing, not anywhere even in my mind. It's like, I really don't like people. I'll never have to see them awake. This will be great. Again, now I've learned I would have hated that as well. So I have to take AMP 1, and I end up failing it, which means I had to drop out of my program. Even though I was doing great in my actual classes, I could not pass AMP. So I ended up dropping it before it hit my GPA and transferred over to another community college, the one that I got my first associate's degree at for the spring. Through the surgical technology program, I learned about CNAs. And I was like, this sounds like something that I could do. And I was like, and I think I want to do nursing. I don't want to do surgical technology. I want to be a nurse. And CNA was the first step. So I took an 8-week-long CNA class that was 3 days a week. I took AMP1 and an introduction to art or art appreciation class that I just needed to complete for a humanities requirement. So I do that, everything is passed, and then I get engaged. And my wife was living in Colorado because that's where she was stationed, and I was still living in North Carolina. We decide that because of the military aspect of things that we're gonna get married kind of quick, and I'm gonna move to Colorado. Now, I had every intention of applying to a fall program in North Carolina that year because over the summer I was gonna take AMP2 and I was gonna be good and ready to go. I couldn't do that because I was gonna be living in Colorado. So I ended up taking AMP2 over the summer, passed it, and I started looking into nursing schools near where I was living in Colorado, which was Colorado Springs. Now, if you don't know Colorado, there's Colorado Springs, let's say it's here, and then south a little bit is Pueblo, and up north is Denver. And there's a lot of smaller cities around Denver. And Denver is heavily populated. Colorado Springs is the main town in El Paso County, so there's really not much else. There are 2 main schools in the Colorado Springs area to do nursing, and one of them is a university and one of them is a community college. Now, the community college is apparently the #1 school in all of the United States for nursing programs, and I did not realize that when I applied. So in the fall, I took, I think, like patho, nutrition, and one other class that I needed for nursing school, not necessarily to get into the program, but to take the load off while I was in nursing school. And I'm so glad that I did that. Admission to the community college, I looked into the university, and it's funny because that's where I'm doing my dual enrollment now, but they needed me to also take like 2 chemistry, so that was going to be another year of waiting to get into nursing school. And I was like, I didn't want to do that. I already felt so old. So I started looking into further drives and further away schools and what their requirements were. That is the biggest thing I can not stress enough to you, is look at the requirements of the schools near you. I ended up taking 1 extra class just to be able to apply at 1 school. So the spring is here. I do not get into nursing school, and I was devastated. I really wanted to go to this local community college that was literally 20 minutes up the road from my house, and I thought my life was going to be perfect. Didn't get in. So I ended up taking more classes in the spring. I think I took micro. I took the 1 class that I needed for 1 school and 1 other class. I can't remember. And so from there, I went and I applied to a total of 3 schools. I reapplied to the 1 community college I didn't get in the first time. I applied to a school that was about 45 minutes away, and then I applied to a school that was an hour and a half away, but they had an evening program, and that really intrigued me. And I thought that would offer me the most amount of free time. So I ended up getting into 2 of the 3 nursing schools, the one that was 30 minutes away and the one that was an hour and a half away, and I ended up choosing the one that was an hour and a half away. Now, that might sound crazy, but the drive was only 1 or 2 days a week, and I ended up making some of the best friends that I could ever ask for in my entire life, and I cannot believe that I had such a great opportunity. But however, my story doesn't stop there on getting into nursing school. So like I said, I am now enrolled in a dual enrollment, so I had to apply for that and get accepted, which was pretty easy. It just requires that I maintain a 3.0 GPA or they will kick me out. And that's been fine. But in May of this year, my wife got orders that we were moving to Kansas. So I had two options: to either stay in Colorado and finish my degree, or try to find a school that would take me as a transfer student, and not like as an LPN transferring, but as a just straight up transfer student. So I found one school here that was near me, and I looked within like a 2-hour radius that would accept a transfer student. I had to apply. I had to send in my transcript, a letter of recommendation from my dean at my nursing program. I ended up having to send syllabi that stated like certain math classes so that I wouldn't have to take a math again, and like my nursing school syllabi so they could see that I was on the right track. And it took like 3 weeks after I finished and sent in my application, and it was the longest 3 weeks of my life because my life was on hold. Like, I couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't I ended up registering for classes at the same school that I was going to, and I was just waiting. I ended up having to take another class over the summer, nutrition, for the school that I go to now, because I did get into the school here in Kansas, and I do now live in Kansas. I go to Butler Community College. I don't really care if you know where I go to school. There's like 240 of us, I think, so good luck finding out which one's me. And let me tell you what I think is most important when applying to nursing school. Making sure that in your core nursing classes you're getting A's and B's. That's the patho, the A&P. For us, there was an English class and a psychology class. Like, make sure you're getting good grades in those classes. Sorry, a little change of position here. My phone had cut off. But it's so important to get good grades in those classes, and then to also just have an overall good GPA, because the school is going to look at that as well. So it's good to have both a good nursing and a good GPA overall. I think whenever I applied to nursing school the first time, I had about a 3.4 GPA. And then whenever I applied to the second nursing school, I had about a 3.6 GPA, because I had made all A's in my first year of nursing school. So my GPA was a little bit higher. It's a lot easier if you try to take all of your classes in one place versus like transferring to a whole bunch of different schools. However, some schools like it better if you take classes at their school. So if they care more about that, then yes, take those there. But it's a lot easier if you don't have like 6 transcripts to send like I do. Also, a lot of schools look at your work experience. So if you've logged so many hours as a CNA, an MA, a EMT, they care about that. I did have to send those in for one of the schools. And I just got a form for my job that says how many hours I had worked. Some of them care about volunteer experience, leadership activities, letters of recommendation. Like I said, I did have to turn one of those in as a transfer student, but not originally. But it's also really good that if you get a letter of recommendation, to hold on to it, because now in my nursing school, we are doing professional portfolios, and they're wanting letters of recommendation for us. And I only have one that I've kept over the years. And that's pretty much how I got into nursing school. My journey here, it's been a long one. It's been a struggle. I am now 26, and I'll be 27 when I graduate nursing school. So not fun, but you know, you got to do what you got to do to make things happen. And I'm so glad to be here, and so happy for the life experiences I've got to have. And this life is not for the faint of heart. If you have any questions about nursing school, about getting in, about the process, please feel free to leave me a comment down below, and find me on Instagram. It's nursingwithapril, and you can ask me questions there as well. I'm always down to answer a question in my DM. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I can't wait to see you guys all in my next video. Thanks.